Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. So, as you guys know, the biggest story in the NBA right now was surrounding Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, Terry Rozier. Then last night we broke the story of Ty Lue being also mentioned, head coach of the Los Angeles Clippers. Of course, Kevin Garnett was also mentioned as well. So we did that. But the day the news broke was, I believe, the second day of the NBA season, and it completely took over the airwaves. Like whatever you had planned that day, you had to change it up because this became the #1 story around the league. And everybody talked about it, but probably the biggest platform to discuss it was ESPN First Take, featuring Stephen A. Smith and others. And on this particular day, Stephen A. Smith was there, and a few other members of ESPN were there as well to kind of weigh in on this subject. So everybody went, Monica McNutt, Jason Williams, and others spoke on it. But then Stephen A. Smith decided to take it to a whole different direction. He took aim at Donald Trump and was essentially accusing the president of, targeting the NBA. Right. And this is making it personal, and he veered off in a different direction. So I want to just quickly give you a quick refresher of what he had to say on First Take, because it ties into what's being said now. Take a listen to Stephen A. Smith here.
But there's a macro perspective that everybody has to pay attention to. And this is where I come in. We're sitting on here on the sports show doing First Take. We all know what other stuff that I do. We know what world that I live in terms of politics. How many times, for one incident after another, have I said, Trump is coming? He's coming. I'm going to say it on national television again. Bad Bunny is performing at the Super Bowl, and all of a sudden you hearing ICE is going to be there, looking to engage in mass deportations. The Super Bowl, disrupting things. Big night for the NBA. Wembanyama put on a show. That has now been smeared because we're talking about this story, okay? Remember, Trump has a long, long history connected to the world of sports because he had those casinos. Where do you think folks were coming half the time? I'm not talking about individuals. I'm talking about the culture. When people want to go to a casino, when people want to gamble, when people want to party, or whatever the case may be. This was his kind of connection to that. Why am I glad you're here, Monica? Because don't be surprised if the WNBA is next on his list. Mm-hmm. Because when you've got all of these protests that have been going out there and people that have been protesting against him and what have you, this man is coming. He's coming. And I've been saying it for a long time. And to me, this is the latest nugget of evidence that we're talking about right here. That's not to question the legitimacy of the case. We don't know. We're all sitting up here and we're saying that we don't know. But anybody that has been around him, anybody that has talked to him, anybody that has seen his reactions from the sports leagues and the positions that people have taken, they are not surprised at what's going on today. I'm watching a press conference with the director of the FBI. Yeah. Tell me when we've seen that. We've seen accusations before. We've seen athletes get in trouble with the law before. You don't see the director of the FBI having a press conference. It's not coincidental. It's not an accident. It's a statement. And it's a warning that more is coming. Mm-hmm. And that's what they're saying here. And everybody better, I'm just telling you, mm-hmm. It's as serious as it gets. This ain't the platform for me to get into it the way I'm going to get into it. But I've been saying he's coming. He's coming because in his eyes, folks try to throw him in jail. In his eyes, he's innocent. They try to put me behind bars. I'm getting everybody. He's not playing. And so this, in a lot of people's eyes, talk to people in the NBA, talk to people in the NFL, talk to people in the world of sports. They think this is like the tip of the iceberg. These are the kind of words that are coming out of people's mouths. It's not a surprise. It's very disheartening. It's very concerning. We don't know where this is going to go. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. Everybody's better brace themselves because he's coming.
Excellent. So you heard what he had to say. This morning, just looking for what to discuss, came across a story here on Awful Announcement stating the following. ESPN dropped the ball on NBA's breaking news. ESPN showed his ass, and unfortunately, the full moon is never going away. All right, so let's get into what this article had to say. It said early Thursday morning news broke that Portland Trailblazers head coach Chauncey Billups and Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier were arrested in connection with separate FBI gambling probes. Hours later, FBI Director Kash Patel held a news conference outlining the case, which alleged that Rozier intentionally removed himself from a March 2023 game due to an injury after a suspicious number of wagers were placed on under props for his various stats. After the bets cashed, Rozier received a $200,000 at his home. The article continues on. In another era, ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports, would have spent all day with wall-to-wall coverage of the scandal. Frankly, the story deserves such coverage. Yesterday, that was nowhere to be found. ESPN's typical daytime lineup of Get Up, First Take, and the Pat McAfee Show went forward without preemption. And how each program handled the day's top story says a lot about ESPN's ability to cover breaking news such as this in 2025. With the initial news breaking around 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time, Get Up was understandably left scrambling to cover the story, but didn't touch on it until almost 8:40 a.m. when host Mike Greenberg gave a short readout of the circumstances. Greenberg again gave a short readout of the news at the top of the hour, but Get Up did not do a full segment on the story until about around 9:30 a.m. Along with the busing crew was NFL analyst Dan Orlovsky and NFL insider Adam Schefter. Get Up couldn't even get an NBA reporter on there, much less someone who could have provided actual insight about the case. And then the article just went on and on. Then it gets to the part where they talk about Stephen A. Smith. He said at that point, Smith explained the story, aired a few clips from Patel's press conference, then brought on NBA insider Shams, who did his best to cosplay as a legal analyst despite having no such background. It didn't take long for Stephen A. to take the story into fantasy land from there. In a 3-minute diatribe, which we already played for you guys, that deemed only tangibly related to the FBI probe, Smith took aim at the Trump administration, repeatedly saying he's coming for professional sports leagues, seemingly because the NFL shut down his bid to purchase the Buffalo Bills in 2014. And then the article went on to entail a few other things as well. It was a pretty long read. Anyway, what are my thoughts about this? Well, look, generally when news like that happens, you're usually caught off guard, right? And when you're like the worldwide leader in sports, you need to make sure that you're organized, you have the right people talking about the information. But when the news is just breaking, you're usually just scrambling to get information, right? And these shows are happening live. Now, we go live from time to time, and sometimes we have to go through that process. Sometimes you don't have time to prepare and set this up and set that up. Sometimes you just have to go. And organizations that are as big as ESPN, sometimes it's hard. When you're that big, you move slower. Right, when you're smaller, you're more nimble. You can just do things quickly. You don't have to go through different channels of not leadership, but channels of control. Okay, do I need to get that? Okay, from this guy, that guy, this guy before I go. So it's a totally a different thing. And maybe they weren't prepared to handle the situation. A lot of it seemed like they were doing it on the fly. But to be quite honest with you, that's what a lot of people were doing on the fly. It was a breaking story. Right? It was a breaking story. Sometimes when we cover stories, as we're talking about it, new information is coming out in that moment. So you have to now do research and all of that. But viewers sometimes don't understand that. But then again, ESPN is the worldwide leader. They have a lot of money, and one would expect them to be able to cover these things at a high level with precision as they're happening because of the level of their resources, human resources or human capital that they have at the ready for them. In terms of what Stephen A. Smith said about the FBI director Kash Patel, well, he pushed back on him. We did a show about it. He then went on his show, First Take, to kind of double down. Not First Take, Straight Shooter, and tried to double down on his position. Some people called him out for it. If you heard him talking about it, like if you saw his face, you know that Stephen A. Smith looked a little bit shaky while he was talking about that, because when you say these kind of things, you have to substantiate it. And if you can't substantiate it, then people can now turn around and say, hey, you're just making this up. Now, I agree with some of the stuff that he said. Yes, it could be true that the president is coming. He's made it clear. You heard some of the stuff that's going on about the NFL the halftime Super Bowl show with Bad Bunny performing. Some people seem to be vehemently against that. But hey, this is why you're in a $100 million seat, and you're in a $100 million seat, and sometimes that seat gets pretty hot. Was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday we did a show reacting to some comments that Pat McAfee had to make. Prior to that, Shams had gone on the Pat McAfee show to react to the NBC interview clip that was published by NBC of Michael Jordan, right? And they were on there kind of like poking fun, and then Shams put his foot in his mouth and then got exposed by the entire internet. We did a show about that. But later on in the day, Pat McAfee thought he was being funny and decided he wanted to take some more sly shots at Michael Jordan and crack a few jokes here and there, and we did a show about it. For those of you who didn't hear what Pat had to say yesterday, take a listen to Pat McAfee trying to be slick yesterday talking about Michael Jordan. Take a listen to that.
Michael Jordan, sits down with Michael Tirico. I don't think that's what I thought was going to happen.
No, definitely not.
I didn't think that was it. Now, granted, we got Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Love that we got Michael Jordan. And he says he's paying for it. He's giving back to the game. That's what this is all about and everything like that. And he sit down with Tirico. And it's my dumb brain, and maybe because I'm too simple, I thought he was going to be Wayne Gretzky up there. Like, I thought there was a chance we were going to see him in studio.
That's not you being dumb, because that was the bill of goods that we were certainly sold for a while there. I feel like it was only on Sunday Night Football when they first introduced this that it was like, oh, actually, never mind. This is what he's going to be doing. He's not going to be doing any of the studio stuff.
Yeah, it's insights to excellence. He's just sitting down with Tirico, diner at the crib. They're just kind of having a little conversation, going to go through some stuff, which is obviously great to get more content from Michael Jordan. Anytime you get in Michael Jordan talk, it's great. But that's why I was excited for him live in real time. So on that note, does that change the way you view anything after last night? Or did you feel like the sit down with Michael Jordan, especially in this long form interview style, which Tirico we think is incredibly talented. Tirico's on the Olympics. Tirico's on Sunday Night Football. Tirico on an NBA game is going to feel big.
Awesome.
And congrats to Tirico.
Yeah.
Keep bringing it. Feels big whenever he's on it. Nance feels big.
Yep.
Al Michaels feels big whenever he's on the call. Michael Cole, when he's on the call.
Always. Bingo.
It feels very big. Who else?
Buck.
Buck is on the call.
Joe Buck.
It's big. Let's see. Anybody we're missing, we do apologize.
Oh, McQuaid.
Fowler.
Fowler's
Herbie. McQuade. Well, Herbie's
he's got,
He's not play-by-play.
Well, sure, but yeah, you're right.
So I'm talking play-by-play only. Not color comments, please. We are not.
No, yeah.
Okay, I don't even want to get into that. Everybody that does it, we are big fans of. Okay, except for some people that aren't fans of, whoever. But Michael Jordan last night, was that a big deal for you as a diehard Jordan guy to be able to see him just do something with the common game, with the live game?
It was good to see him, but I was with Ty. I thought he was going to be on the desk. I thought he was going to be, like you said, like he was going to be Gretzky.
Fools.
Give some analyst.
Yeah.
But I will say, when you think of NBC basketball, all I hear is Alan Parsons' project.
So you heard that. So I'm like, okay, Pat McAfee is in the comedy business. So this morning I was looking for what to talk about, and I came across a report here from various sources, but one of the accounts that talked about it was awful announcement saying some ESPN producers tired. Some ESPN producers reportedly tired of Pat McAfee's diva behavior. Right? Diva behavior. Says you're not a victim. Then continues on. 3 days after the Pat McAfee took to social media to complain about old white people, including the producer of College Game Day, a news article has published detailing growing frustration and ongoing friction between McAfee and ESPN employees. In a report from Front Office Sports, multiple sources expressed frustration with the former All-Pros punter diva behavior. The comments come in a response video that was posted to McAfee's Instagram stories on Tuesday morning, in which he stated, he says, throughout the entirety, all whites and the old ESPN people over the last 3 years have really hated me. That's who all the producers are of Game Day 2. Okay. Totally unnecessary. Grow up and talk to these people to make it better. You're not a victim, one source told Front Office Sports. Everyone is bending over backwards to put you in a good position. And these people are incentivized for you to succeed. Another source told McCarthy that McAfee sometimes acts like an entitled diva. Yet, despite their gripes, the sources are well aware that ESPN's management remains a big fan of the West Virginia product. To that end, ESPN president of content Burke Magnus defended McAfee, but also conceded that his style is capable of creating friction. Then went on to say a few other things. Pat McAfee is a creative force. He pushed hard to advance college game day, and his impact has been enormous, Magnus told Front Office Sports. Since he joined ESPN, Game Day as well as his daily show have experienced unprecedented success. Pat is also an innovator. And then it goes on to say for real. Okay, so you understand it. So basically what they're saying there is that Pat McAfee at times can be a nuisance for the network, but he's also making them buku dollars. And because he's making them buku dollars, they're willing to tolerate such behavior. And that sounds about right. Hell, even on First Take, we've heard some comments about what some people have said about Stephen A. Smith in the background. Do you see Stephen A. Smith going anywhere? Do you see him going anywhere? He'll be the first one to tell you that this show is the number one every single month or every single year, every single week or whatever, however they count their stats. All right? They're not getting rid of him. As a matter of fact, they just offered him a $100 million deal, or they just gave him a $100 million deal. Right? So I guess when you can produce the results, people are going to tolerate you, even your diva behavior. But it's not just on TV. It's even in sports. Look at sports. Some players are divas and all of that, but if they bring in the dollars, they give the results, teams, coaches are going to tolerate them, right? They're going to tolerate them, and that's what you're seeing there. He's a diva, but he's giving them the numbers. And ESPN is going to tolerate him and tolerate this diva behavior as long as he's producing the ratings that they want, right? And I could also see a scenario, to be frank with you guys, I could also see a scenario in which they even offer him an extension. Now, I don't know. Pat McAfee has complained quite a bit about some of ESPN's management, key figures and their key executives and ESPN management, and maybe he may decide to take his show and take it somewhere else. Remember, he licensed his show to ESPN. They didn't buy it. It's licensed. So at the end of their agreement, I think the contract they signed at the time was about for $85 million, and I think he left FanDuel. Was it FanDuel, one of them? I think it was FanDuel, to go work with ESPN because of their megaphone of a platform that they have. He could also say, you know what, man, I'm just going to take my show somewhere else and go do something else, right? And I'm sure he would do very well for himself. So this is what they're saying about him, but based on what I'm hearing from Burke Magnus, it doesn't really seem like they're going to be making any moves to get rid of him or anything like that or reprimand him. It's going to be a devastating one, simply because the NBA right now is going through something that I don't think they wanted to experience, right? And they're getting some pretty bad press. Just last night, we did a live show reacting to some news that Pablo Torre shared on Twitter. And we want to put up the post for you guys here. It says, Kevin Garnett was reportedly among the former pro athletes who played in a private poker game organized by individuals indicted in the DOJ's Operation Royal Flush. This is per Pablo Torre. So if you actually go to Pablo Torre's page on X or Twitter or whatever you call it, I call it Twitter, he even talks about it more, and where he discusses Tyronn Lue. We did a show about it last night. And that news was absolutely devastating, where he brought up Tyronn Lue. And it says here, Clippers head coach Tyronn Lue was also in attendance at the alleged rigged April 2019 poker game in Las Vegas. Sources with direct knowledge tell Pablo finds out. He said, but sources say Lue did not play at the same table as his good friend Blazers head coach, Chauncey Billups. And as you guys know, Chauncey Billups used to be an assistant coach for the Los Angeles Clippers before he took the job with the Portland Trail Blazers. So as I was going through the internet today, I came across a New York Post article here. that really shocked me, because this one now is bringing up some more stuff about LeBron James, and it has the following headline saying, ex-Cavalier Damon Jones would boast about best friend LeBron James at Vegas casinos. And then it continues on, and I want to get into what the article says. It says, let me just get to this part here. He says, he would say he's best friends with LeBron James. Basically, he was using that as a business card for people to gain some trust in opening some doors for him, Osborne said of Jones, right? And it went into some further details where he was essentially what he was doing, and I'll read this part. Said, in addition to Jones' alleged illegal tip-off of James's injury, he was also involved in a widespread multi-million-dollar scheme that lured deep-pocketed NBA and other figures to fix poker games overseen by 4 of New York City's infamous mafia families, prosecutors said. Right? And it just goes on and on and on. You guys can go check out the New York Post article there. But essentially what they're saying is he was leveraging his relationship with LeBron James to go out and conduct the business he was conducting. Some of it had to do with some injury reports surrounding the Los Angeles Lakers. They gave the game against the Milwaukee Bucks and all of that there, right? Now, obviously, this doesn't say that LeBron James has any involvement, and I'm not going to say anything like that until there's proof. I'm not going to do that. But I'm sure LeBron is sitting down somewhere right now, or was sitting down somewhere, saying to himself, how could you involve me in this mess? How could you involve me in this mess? How? Because his name is being mentioned because he was close friends with Damon Jones. He was a trainer with LeBron. This is already documented. He did have access to the Lakers, their private plane, locker room, etc. We know all of this already. So it's not like as if we're making that stuff up. But just based on the fact that these guys were friends and there's a connection, a public connection between the two of them, it now brings LeBron's name into the fold. And I'm 100% sure that this is something LeBron James is absolutely irate about. Right. And I'm sure it must be a very difficult place for him to be, because on the one hand, your friend is facing some very serious legal charges. And in the other hand, you're being brought into it just by the simple fact that you are an associate of this guy. And it's a mess. As I just said, Pablo Torre brought up, mentioned other players like Kevin Garnett. And Kevin Garnett also, he has some details about him as well. They also mentioned in Tyronn Lue. And what makes it so bad is because now you're dealing with active like people that are associated with the league, like coaches and players. But you're now hearing bigger names. We heard from the NBA commissioner, Adam Silver. And a lot of people seem to be upset with Adam Silver. And I can understand, because Adam Silver has this kind of like laissez-faire attitude towards things. It's like, oh, nothing is really a big deal. You had this stuff where they spoke about like the league, where he made the comments about you can watch the league highlights and all of that, when we found out that in order for you to watch every single NBA game, fans would need to dish out $650 this year. He just seemed to be so callous about it. Like, he was just like, oh, okay, it's no big deal. Then he realized, okay, that didn't land well. He had to come back out. I actually want to quickly read from an article from Marca. It says, Adam Silver shocked by an NBA scandal. I had a pit in my stomach. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver visibly shaken during a national televised appearance Friday night as he addressed the growing fallout from the federal investigation that has ensnared Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier, Portland Trailblazer head coach Chauncey Billups. And then it continues on. I want to get to the part where he said this. He said, my initial reaction was I was deeply disturbed, Silver said during a halftime interview on Amazon Prime's broadcast of the Boston Celtics New York Knicks game. There's nothing more important to the league and its fans than the integrity of competition, and I had a pit in my stomach. It was very upsetting. Now, you couple this news with what just went down last summer, when the Lakers were able to pull off this miraculous trade for Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis in the heat of the night. And then somehow, some way, miraculously, at the end of the season, the Dallas Mavericks, who made that swap with the Lakers that no one knew about, somehow, some way end up with the number 1 overall pick in the draft, and they end up landing Cooper Flagg. And a lot of people are like, come on. So a lot of people are also looking in the direction of the commissioner, right? A lot of people are looking at, and I'm sure if this thing continues to grow more legs, you're going to see a lot more attention be directed towards him. A lot more attention. In terms of this story here, man, I think it's just the beginning of the story. Okay, I think it's the beginning of the story. LeBron James is not involved. As far as I know, as far as we all know, he's not involved. But for the simple fact that he is connected to Damon Jones, his name is being brought into this. I'm sure that's a very unfortunate situation for him. And I'm sure it's a situation he wouldn't want to be a part in. I cannot envision a world where LeBron James would be involved in something. I cannot envision a $1.2, $1.3 billion guy being involved in something like that. It's just, that would be incomprehensible. I would not be able to fathom such. The Lakers played, I believe, their second game. Was it their second or the third game? I think it's the second game of the season. And they were, second game. The first game they played against the Golden State Warriors, a game in which they lost. But the second game that they played was against the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I caught that game a little bit late because I was trying to see the finish between the San Antonio, that San Antonio Spurs game that they were playing. I forgot against the team that they were playing, but they ultimately ended up winning after Victor Wembanyama. New Orleans, after he ended up filing out in that game. But anyway, so I was able to catch the Lakers game. And I caught it towards like the mid-second quarter as they were heading towards halftime. And when I tuned in, the Lakers looked competitive. And I think they went into the first half with the lead. They finished the first half with scoring 68 points to the Minnesota Timberwolves scoring 63. But in that first half, you had certain key players playing well. Austin Reeves had 12 points. Rui Hachimura really stepped it up in that first half with 9 points. Gabe Vincent came in and gave him some solid minutes for 12 minutes. And Marcus Smart was just an absolute irritant on the floor in 11 minutes that he played. Had some strips that he had. I think he even stripped, what's the guy's name? Not Randall. I think it was Anthony Edwards. I don't remember, but he had 2 steals in a row. So he brought a lot of energy. But the guy that really stood out was Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic scored 32 points in the first half on 4-8 shooting from the 3 and 64% shooting from the field while getting you 4 rebounds. He did have 3 turnovers, however. So going into the second half, he just pretty much kept it on. And the Lakers ended up winning that game, I believe, 128 to 110. Austin Reeves finished with 25. Rui Hachimura finished with 23. Andre Ayton had a bounce-back game, although I don't like the fact that he didn't get double-digit rebounds. He had 15 points and 8 rebounds. I would like to see – I still want to see more activity on the glass from Ayton, but he did have 15 and 8. Gabe Vincent had 5 points in 24 minutes. Luka Doncic finished the game with a spectacular – and I was watching some of those shots that he was making, just demoralizing shots. He finished the game with 49 points. He didn't have a single turnover in the second half. 49 points, 8 assists, 11 rebounds on 84% shooting from the free throw line, 41% shooting from the 3, on 60% shooting from the floor. Just absolutely spectacular stuff with his plus-minus of 18. Jake LaRera gave him some solid minutes. In 27 minutes, he had 6 points. He had a lot of energy, of course. Marcus Smart, who I said should be starting. I remember I brought up Marcus Smart early in the season. I said I hadn't paid much attention to this unit whatsoever. So to me, I'm still learning the roster, but I think Coach Redick pretty much figured it out that Marcus Smart can be a contributor. Obviously, you also saw that they changed up the entire complexion of the team defensively when they had Jared Vanderbilt and Marcus Smart in the lineup at the same time. It gave them a defensive tenacity. And D. Wade even mentioned this, that the team, you can see that they're more confident defensively when they have those kind of guys on the floor. So while all of that was happening, LeBron James in this game decided that he wanted to cheer for the Lakers, right? He decided that he wanted to cheer for the Lakers, and he was finally cheering after the first game where he didn't even seem to move an entire muscle all throughout that game. And all throughout the game, what was happening underneath was that LeBron fans were hoping that the Lakers would lose. They were hoping and praying and wishing that the Lakers would lose, because to them, they're trying to prove the point that, the Lakers can't do anything without LeBron. And I keep bringing up the point. The last time they had LeBron, they had been going out of the first round. So these guys are acting like as if he was giving them some type of championship premium. Like, oh my God, every time he was there, they were in the finals. No. So in their minds, they're like, they want the Lakers to just imagine, and they wonder why the fan base want him gone. Then you got LeBron goblins that stalk our page, that have been stalking our page for years. When I was like, go Lakers, and all, they're like, you're not a Laker fan. The same clown fan base that is hoping for the Lakers to lose are asking me whether or not I'm a Laker fan. Me that's been a Laker fan since the early 2000s, before even some of these fools were born. They're going to ask me, oh, you're not a Laker fan. And I said it from the beginning. I was a Laker fan. The moment he became a Laker, I stopped supporting the team. I can't do it. And I'm not the only one that took that position. And the only reason I'm supporting him is because I can now finally see the light at the end of the tunnel with his ass on the way out. I made my feelings 100% clear. I've been a Laker fan way before we got on YouTube. It's you LeBron goblins that came and infiltrated the damn proceedings and absolutely stunk up the place with honey stuck all over the damn walls. To the point where now the entire fan base wants you guys gone. But now they're talking about they're not Laker fans. They never been Laker fans. They're LeBron fans through and through. Through and through. And now you're in a position where you have a fan base that wants the team to lose, because if they're not winning with him, they don't want the team to win at all. Just imagine the psychological makeup of a LeBron James fan. You got them doing shows. The Austin Reeves wasn't all of that. Austin Reeves can't play. Luka can't. Bro, let me tell you something right now. Luka Doncic is putting up numbers that we haven't seen. And I got to say this. As I was watching Luka play, do his thing, I was watching that game like, yo, I could only imagine a prime Kobe playing in this era with this amount of space. It would be a comic show. You got to remember, the year Kobe averaged 35, teams weren't even scoring like 100 points. Or like 105 or something like that a game. Now teams are scoring like around 115 a game. If you airdrop that Kobe Bryant into this era, Kobe... You remember when Ty Lue said Jordan could average, I think, 45 or 50? Do you believe it now? Do you believe it now? If they had put that Kobe in this era, bro, it would have been a joke, bro. Because not only is Kobe as skilled as Luka, has better footwork than Luka, he's even more athletic than him. Oh my God, bro. Kobe would have been putting up 50 points a night. And real people know this. Go look back at the footage of Kobe in 2006. Go look at the amount of spacing he was scoring with on the floor. So I was just like, damn, can you imagine if Kobe was playing right now? But what Luka is showing you, back to Luka, is that he can do it. Have you noticed how things have changed since LeBron is not playing? Have you heard any dumbass commentary around, oh, the Lakers don't have enough help. Oh, Lakers ain't good. It's just like they're just figuring it out. They're figuring it out, and LeBron fans do not like it at all. If they could have it their way, the Lakers would lose every single game until he returns. That's what they want. That's the outcome they're looking for. But then you got these LeBron goblins who are running around comment sections on the internet talking about, oh, DREAMERSPRO, you're not like, bro, knock it off. Like, y'all are the last ones to talk. When are y'all packing y'all bags, by the way? Like, instead of worrying about if I'm a Laker fan, when are you packing your bag, bro? Don't you got some suitcases to be lifting? Seriously. Y'all got a long journey up out of LA. So to me, man, I think it's great, and I'm going to enjoy it, and I hope the Lakers keep winning. And I hope they keep winning and watching these LeBron fans cry every single night because they thought, oh, when LeBron played like I said, they won the finals every single year he was playing. Knock it off.